All right, y'all. This usually is not my thing. I usually don't get involved too much with these kind of sideline stories, but Malcolm is a young man who's close to my heart because I believe that he carried a spirit of humility everywhere he went. And it just seems like there's something very strange about his death that other people are commenting on it that really doesn't sit well when it comes to what other people are saying and possibly even think. Now, this story is really about his wife. His wife supposedly has come forward and she is speaking out against this whole thing. I did mention one in one other video that his mother, uh, Malcolm Jamal Warner's mother, also thought that there was a possibility that he was in, well, the things that happened to him were no accident. Another thing that interests me about him is that I found out that from BeliefNet that he was a Christian, he was a man of faith. And so it talked about him being a man of faith. Um, I don't know how deep he was into Christ, but there is some information about him becoming an ordained minister at the Universal Life Church to officiate his friend's wedding, which, Universal Life Church is a church that uh, is kind of shady, and I don't know a lot about that. I got to be honest, how he would fit that in there. But according to BeliefNet, he was a believer in Jesus Christ, and he frequently showed on social media that you need to have humility, compassion, and love, and that those are the things that he always talked about. And he rooted them in Christ's teaching, and he also talked about Christ's teaching in that regard. So, if him being a person in Hollywood, I'm sure that there's a lot of people he kind of doesn't run to give his faith, put his faith out there too much. But at the same time, he was doing a lot of things that had to do with Christianity. He had a album that came out, I believe, with Stevie Wonder, and it was one in which he was honoring Christ at that particular time too. So he was a person of faith in that regard. Crosswalk has him in there as a person of faith, right? So we'll just leave that alone. We know that again, your faith is going to be something that will be shining on you. It's something that you just can't, you really can't deny. It's going to come out, right? And it's going to come out just not only in the way you talk, but it's going to come out in the way you walk, in your actions. And so we've seen a lot of his actions that he's done, uh, working for the Cosby Show, but then also following the Cosby Show, his actions in terms of him being available for photos that always showed him smiling. And this is one thing he said. He said that in one interview, he said, "If I ever leave this earth, I hope I leave with a smile on my face." And I guess when it comes down to it, he had that joy that is characteristic of Christians who know that everything's going to be all right. So I'm praying that he rest in peace and that things uh, will be resolved for him and justice will be served. But now, again, I want to get back to the video at hand. Malcolm Jamal Warner's wife finally reveals who killed him. Numerous threats exposed. Now, I don't know. Again, I these videos sometimes I don't know whether or not they are uh, on up and up. I've looked this up, and I haven't seen it on anything else. But according to this person, she says she has the receipts. So let's listen in to hear what she has to say.
With the identity of the person she believes is responsible for Malcolm's death. Let's be clear, this isn't some vague statement or cryptic clue. She's naming names, exposing details, and pulling back a curtain on a story that's been buried for far too long. But this is where it gets messy. She's claiming that before his passing, Malcolm was bombarded with anonymous threats, warning her to back down, and that he was being followed and watched. Look.
Now, this is something that his mother brought out. His mother also said that he was being followed, watch, and then also she made the statement that his place was ransacked also after his parent death.
Looks like someone powerful is clearly trying to keep this truth from seeing the light of day, and they're not playing fair. So now the real question is, why? Why now? And who benefits from keeping Malcolm's death a mystery? Y'all, the deeper we've gone, the uglier it gets, and from the way that his wife is speaking, it's just getting started. So grab your receipts, because this isn't just a grieving widow speaking out. This is a woman on a mission to take down whoever's responsible, no matter how high up the chain it goes. Y'all.
Okay, so um, let's go to some of the statements that she supposedly made here.
Laying it all out in the way she's talking, somebody out there was about to get exposed. But what makes her statement hit even harder is knowing how fiercely Malcolm protected his family while he was alive. He never shared their faces and never revealed their names, and he made it a priority to keep his wife and daughter out of the spotlight and away from public scrutiny. And
Being in Hollywood, I would do that. It's a very dangerous place to be. You're trying to work, but then at the same time, you got a double whammy. You're in the spotlight for um, for movies, but then also you got to watch what you say. And the elephant in the room. Let me just go ahead and say the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is that he's a black actor, and we know that black actors a lot of times receive a lot of harsh, embarrassing treatment. A lot of times. Now, whether they bring it on themselves, that's your opinion. But this young man here, a lot of times, and if you go and research him, you're going to find out that he pretty much kept his nose clean. So why actually off him? What did he ever do? Well, we're going to probably find out. Let's go ahead.
now, even in her grief, his wife is honoring that. She's staying anonymous, but she's not staying quiet because despite keeping her identity hidden, she's allegedly still coming forward with everything she knows. And the way she's doing it is controlled, calculated, and fearless. She's making sure that Malcolm's voice is heard, even if she never shows her face. The first thing she did was shut down the drowning story, because in her words, there's no way Malcolm died in that water. According to her, he was already gone before he ever hit the ocean, which is why he couldn't fight to save himself when that rip current hit. It's claimed that Malcolm was a strong swimmer, like really strong, and he knew how to handle those rip currents. This wasn't some freak accident where he panicked or didn't know what to do. And the part that really didn't sit right was that there were bystanders trying to help, and even then he didn't respond. That's when it looks like something was seriously wrong. There's claims that an autopsy was done shortly after Malcolm's death and found no water in his lungs.
No water in his lungs. Now I can say this: people who people who drown generally cut their own breath off in order to prevent water from actually getting into their lungs, but it's almost unavoidable. You know, they people will try to hold their breath to the very end, but again, this is his wife is saying this, and his mother also said that uh, she she actually said these things as well. So what's going on? Is Hollywood taking out another young black actor who maybe is more positive? Um, I don't know. But again, he wouldn't play their game. I'm sure he wouldn't wear the dress. I'm sure he wouldn't do the buffoonery, the roles. From what I understand, he turned down a lot of roles that were degrading. And there were some sitcom pieces that he didn't want to do, and he definitely did not want to use all of the foul language and that kind of thing. Walking in the same spirit of the example that was set for him for the values, at least that Cosby Show represented. Those were some of the things. I want you to hear what they have to say, though. They wanted him to actually out Cosby, and before he could even produce his record. Now he's quite an artist, but they wanted him to expose Cosby even more and destroy Cosby before he could actually produce his record. I want you to hear this. Let me see if I can find it. It's pretty interesting to hear him say this. Listen in here.
We weren't getting those residuals.
At $64.
Yeah,
$64.
but that lump, you're talking about 8 years of residuals, so that's still a nice little padding. So it's interesting. I did in 2015. I put out my third record, right? And on that record, I mean, I got Layla Hathaway, I got Robert Glasper,
Is that Hiding in Plain View?
Lettucey. No, that's this one that's out now.
Okay.
That was called Selfless.
Okay.
So Layla, Lettucey, Stokely, Rasan Patterson, Robert Glasper, like the album is like, it's a banger. I could not book any press unless I agreed to answer at least one question about Bill Cosby. It was the only way I was going to be able to get my record covered.
Wow.
So I do this.
That's crazy.
This interview with AP. Right, we spend 25, 30 minutes talking about my career, talking about my music, like it's a dope interview. And then at the very end, the last question she asked me is, what do you think with the Bill Cosby controversy that the legacy of the show has been tarnished?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Associated Press was ready to destroy Bill Cosby even more, to bring out whatever crimes he committed, because again, it's beneficial for them to have a black man to look bad. And it's not just black men, but again, the men in general, strong fathers or images of strong fathers are often destroyed, and especially in the black community, because again, we have hip hop and rap. And from what I understand, Malcolm Jamal Warner said and made this statement that he's a jazz musician, but he also said that there are a lot of very talented hip hop artists who keep their content clean and they have a positive message that needs to be heard. But for some reason, the industry is not interested in positive messages of hip hop or keeping it clean. They want to push the kind of rap that degrades black people and black females and promotes fatherlessness and jail and thug life. And the interesting thing about the Cosby Show is the Cosby Show, you can say what you want to about Bill Cosby as a person, but the Cosby Show set a precedence for showing positive images for black people, which might have been the reason he was outed for his involvement with all of the things, him going to the Playboy Club, that was his weakness. And so they destroyed him right there in public because, he was an easy target. He was an easy target. And what they had on him, they went straight ahead with it. But again, the Cosby Show was a masterpiece when it comes down to presenting an image, a positive image, and putting this positive spin. And the devil hates that on fatherhood, a positive spin on fatherhood. And the devil hates that. And again, devil hates Malcolm Jamal Warner because he was walking.
So I said, well, yeah, of course it's been tarnished because they've taken it off the show. And whenever we talk about stereotypical black images on television, we've always had the Cosby Show to hold juxtaposed against that. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the real, it hit us all financially because now we weren't getting those residuals.
At $64.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, they took the Cosby Show off television, and then they put a lot of other trash on there. Men dressing up like women. ridiculous stuff that is anti-God, anti-family, and really, really does destroy the black community. I think, in it, like I said again, I know I have a lot of white listeners, and you guys listen to me, but I think there is something going on here with this man's death that the reason they went and got him is because he knew too much. There was something going on that he might have known that they were worried about him exposing, and his stand for man, being a man and a decent man.
And if that's true, it completely changes everything because if there's no water in the lungs, that means he couldn't have drowned. At least not in the way that the media's been pushing it. So now the question becomes, what really happened before he hit that water? Well, it looks like his wife might be claiming he'd been poisoned with an untraceable poison and that he was pushed into the water as a way to hide the evidence of the crime. But why on earth would anybody want to take Malcolm Jamal Warner out? I mean, he was calm, low-key, and completely unproblematic to most. He kept to himself, stayed out of drama, and somehow managed to show up in the spotlight without getting caught up in scandal. That alone made him rare in Hollywood. So why would anybody want to see him as a threat? It looks like his wife might be saying that Malcolm had started speaking out and not just casually. She claims he was getting more vocal behind the scenes, calling out some very powerful people. And apparently, they didn't take that lightly. See,
Okay, well, there's a very good possibility. And remember, Bill Cosby was speaking out quite a bit. Now, I don't know if you even remember that. Bill Cosby, before he was arrested and brought up on charges for all of these other things, he spoke out quite a bit about the uh, the image of black men. He used to come out and say, "Pull your pants up, be respectful, stop calling women bitches and whores in your songs," and he began to take on the role of Uncle Bill, trying to tell the people what to do and do the right thing. And as he was doing this, hey, that didn't sound right to them. They was kind of like smashing Satan's agenda up to just destroy people. So I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. I've talked long enough about this. I'm gonna let you guys comment in the comment. But I believe that again, as we look at all of this here, we're seeing a person taken down for righteousness' sake. It's a possibility. I'm just thinking that he was standing for righteousness, and he was trying to be vocal. And when you become vocal, like Cat Williams said, they're going to get you. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for listening. Oh, share the video, and hey, have a good rest of the night. Good evening.